This is the refreshed Kia Sorento. Good news, you can still have it with a diesel engine in Europe. And this one here is a diesel. Is there any bad news? Keep on watching to find out. I also recorded a comparison of the facelifted Sorento and the new Skoda Kodiaq. Channel members get to watch this video early and without ads. The fourth generation of the Korean SUV kept more or less the same dimensions. Any differences are a result of bumper modifications. In the front we are faced with a new, more masculine, angular grille. The headlights are now separate from the grille and vertical. Only daytime running lights remained horizontal. In order to make the 481 cm long SUV look somewhat interesting from the side, even before the facelift, Kia put this silver hump or tooth around the C-pillar. I guess it's there to attract attention. In the rear we have new lamps. They remained vertical, but now they are joined at the top, making them look like an inverted letter U. After the facelift, we still get the 193 horsepower 2.2-liter diesel with an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. Depending on the market, it may come as front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive as standard. Other engine options are a regular hybrid and a PHEV. The former can be had as front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and the PHEV is all-wheel drive as standard. Both hybrids are based around the 1.6-liter TGDI petrol engine. Kia doesn't talk about how the new car offers better performance, because it doesn't. Any fuel efficiency improvements are marginal, but all engine variants are 30 to 40 kilograms heavier than the pre-facelift models. For example, the 7-seater diesel now weighs 1854 kilograms. And all variants are about half a second slower from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, at least on paper. Before the facelift, the diesel needed 9.2 seconds to reach 100 kilometers per hour from standstill. Probably in real life it was even slower. Now it should do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9.7 seconds. And I actually beat that result, but in normal, not sport mode. The combined fuel economy figure of high 6 liters per 100 kilometers is realistic. The fuel tank capacity is 67 liters regardless of the engine variant. The diesel can still tow up to 2.5 tons, the hybrid variants up to 1,100 kilograms. Like the pre-facelift model, also the refreshed car is very well soundproofed, up to about 130-140 kilometers per hour. The interior is relatively quiet. However, if a parent needed to get their message across to misbehaving children in the third row, there is an intercom and it can be assigned to one of 2 programmable buttons. And good news is that I don't have to use the other programmable button to quickly access car safety system settings. Disabling ESA is now done by a long press of the mute button on the steering wheel. A vague message appears on the central display, but the highlight is that nothing beeps at you every time the speed limit changes or you exceed it. Now, while I'm not encouraging or condoning disobeying rules of the road, try driving 10 kilometers per hour in a supermarket lot on a weekend. You'll be lynched. Before the facelift, I praised the suspension. I doubt Kia has changed anything, but I get the feeling on more complicated imperfections in the road, the suspension is a bit busy. Maybe the roads have simply deteriorated in the last 4 years. I like what Kia has done with the sport mode though. if my memory serves me right. In the hybrid Sorento, sport mode did nothing really. In the diesel, it makes the steering feel noticeably heavier, the gearbox always stays in lower gears, and the all-wheel drive seems much more proactive. On the twisty bit of my test route, the Sorento held its own better than some premium SUVs I tested over the years.
Driver aids are okay. I don't expect anything more advanced in this segment. I like that many of the systems can be adjusted to be more or less aggressive. I only wish there was an easy way to turn off or turn down the lane keeping assist. Also, the stop and start system is too slow. I switched from eco to normal mode, but that didn't change anything. Once the engine shuts down, you need to give it some time to turn back on and for the computer to respond to your gas pedal input.
An interesting feature is the blind spot view monitor. It debuted in the Sorento 4 years ago. When you turn the indicator on, a camera mounted on the wing mirror shows you what's in your blind spot. It displays it on the driver's screen. Now, before the facelift, I complained that there was no proper 360 camera, and I thought the blind spot view monitor could make parking easier if there was a way to turn it on permanently during parking maneuvers. But unfortunately, every time the indicator goes off, so does this. Now, the problem has been solved because there is now a proper 360 camera which allows you to view the car from all the angles when you're maneuvering. I don't know about you, but I like to park as far away from everybody as possible, and then some asshole comes and parks right next to me and I can't get in. Fortunately, Kia and Hyundai offer this sort of parking assist feature. It should be called asshole parking help or something. Hold on, you have to lock the car again, press hold and wait for the engine to start, and then press another button. Come on. Come on. I was too close. Still. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, it's out. So now I can just open it and it's still on. I can just get in and drive away.
Since this Sorento has all-wheel drive, I'll do my diagonal approach test. I stop halfway with the wheels on the diagonal with limited traction, and then I try to get moving again. First attempt is in normal mode, and there's no problem. The second attempt is in snow mode, and it looks just as easy. The third attempt is in mud mode. This is interesting, it's the first time I managed to stall a car with an automatic gearbox. Then there was much more wheel spin, which I guess is necessary to prevent mud from sticking to the tires. The fourth attempt was in sand mode, again no problem. And just for shits and giggles, normal mode with ESP off. As expected, all power is trying to escape through the rear wheel, which has limited traction.
Changes in the cockpit revolve around the not so new anymore infotainment system, which debuted in the EV6. It consists of a double display running across 2/3 of the width of the cockpit. There is wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and now drivers can store their settings and profiles, which they can access with their fingerprints, which I cannot demonstrate because in order to set up the profile, you need 2 keys. And I got one.
Gone is the driver's screen display mode, which changed with the time of the day and weather. Meanwhile, the central display is now where most, but not all settings are located. There's still this double duty panel under the screen, which depending on the mode displays media or climate control settings. This is something Hyundai and Kia are gradually walking away from in their newer models. I get how the designers thought it would clean up the button clutter, but instead they created something that forces the driver to take their eyes off the road instead of relying on muscle memory. I heard there is some way to set one of the modes to be dominating, so that when you change to media mode it'll go back to AC or the other way around, but I haven't found those settings. Heated and ventilated seat buttons are on the central tunnel next to the USB-C ports and the wireless charger. The latter is low power and high heat. There seems to be no ventilation in this area. The gear selector is still a large knob. Kia added vibration when you shift into reverse. Good idea when you're doing a 3-point turn and don't have time to look at your hands. But perhaps the more traditional PRNDL lever wasn't such a bad idea after all. Next to the gear selector are some physical buttons, like for the heated steering wheel or parking cameras. Storage under the armrest is good size, but the glove box is small. And the door pockets are still surprisingly tight for a family SUV.
Changes in the back are visible if you choose a 6-seater. Depending on the market, you can choose a 5, 6 or 7-seater version. The 6-seater means captain's chairs in the second row. They're comfortable, they slide, you can fold them flat or partially to get access to the third row. There are USB-C ports, a 12-volt outlet, aircon, at least air vents. You can move the front passenger seat for more or less legroom. There are some blinds here. The door pockets are okay-ish. Fortunately, there are more cup holders up here next to the heated seat toggle switches.
In case of the 6-seater, you don't need to move the seats to access the third row. You can go between the seats, and I think this is the main advantage of this seat configuration. You can have older kids in the back and kids and child seats in the second row, and you don't have to move the child seats to access the third row. Just be careful. By the way, ISOFIX anchor points are in the second row and the third row, but not on the front passenger seat.
No changes in the third row. Kids will be fine, adults less so. I'm 175 centimeters tall. I have just enough headroom. Legroom is fine, even with the seats pushed all the way back, but my thighs are up in the air. Third row passengers get their own climate control zone. They have USB-C ports. They got a place to put their mobile devices, toys, whatever they have. And there are some cup holders, but they are around the elbows for some reason.
The boot capacity remains unchanged. In the 7-seater, it's 179, 813 or 1996 liters. In the 6-seater, there's slightly more space with all the seats folded, 2041 liters, because of the space between the seats. Just remember, the 813 liters was achieved with the second row seats pushed all the way forward. With the second row seats pushed back, it's around 600 liters. Seats in the third row are easy to open and close. There are buttons to fold the seats in the second row from the boot side. In the diesel variant, the cargo cover fits under the boot floor. Prices of the refreshed Kia Sorento start at €53,190 for the front-wheel drive diesel. That's 12,000 more than the base diesel 4 years ago. And that's 30% more. I wish I earned 30% more than I did 4 years ago. Anybody here earning 30% more after taxes and inflation? And this test car with options costs €68,450.
4 years ago, I concluded my Kia Sorento review saying it's a lot of car for the money. Today I wonder how badly would a Mazda dealer have to insult me to prevent me from choosing a CX-80. And what do you think about the refreshed Kia Sorento? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.